Perfect. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear us all right? Can anyone hear us? Anyone give us a thumbs up? And I see you shaking your head. Okay, perfect, perfect. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. So, if you are unaware, this is the last chapter of our Heartbeat Legacy, our Essential Conversations. If there's any that you missed, please feel free to check them all out on our YouTube channel, which we can go ahead and send to everyone as well. We would also like to thank Catherine for her wisdom and kindness in providing these essential conversations to us throughout this time, and also thank you to her team as well. Right now, we're about to start. We'll give it a second here, but if you're interested in staying for our Lunch and Learn, please look out for that second Zoom link to go ahead and switch over. Thank you, and we'll see you guys at noon.
Hey.
Hi.
Go sit down, it's about to start. There's a glitch, I think.
Hey, Catherine, can you see our screen?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We're ready when you are. Do you see our shared screen?
I do. Is it going to be bigger? Let me see if we can get it all up to full screen.
I have it full screen on my end. What do you see?
I don't have it full screen on my end. I can see all the beautiful people at the very top in your Zoom boxes.
Give me 1 moment. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to come back to that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. How about now? What do you see?
Oh, I see nice full screen.
All right.
Perfect. So I'm ready when you are. I've got the full screen up and I know you will control the slides.
Yeah, so when you're ready, just let me know when to hit next slide, and I hope everyone else can see the presentation. If you cannot, please speak up now or forever hold your peace.
All right, good morning, everybody. Nice to see you. Nice to see all these familiar faces that I know very well. We're going to have a conversation today for the next 50 minutes or so about autonomy and decision making. And we can see the next slide. So what is autonomy? We don't use that word often, and it's important to kind of understand the definitions of it. And if you Google autonomy, you can see a variety of different definitions. But here's a snapshot about really what autonomy means, which is the right to make decisions about one's own life, meaning you are fully in charge of the decisions that you make today. No one is forcing you to make a decision or trying to change your mind about a decision. It's really all, there's no concerns. It's who you are and the things that you decide. So it's really about self-determination in regards to healthcare issues, informed consent, that you are in charge of making your own medical and healthcare decisions, and respecting others that have a different view than yourself. Next slide. So we're going to talk about the importance of autonomy. These are some very easy points, but a lot of people forget about them when you're thinking about autonomy. We want to focus on the well-being. So autonomy is linked to increased motivation, life satisfaction, and a sense of purpose. You're getting out of bed in the morning, you're getting dressed, you have a goal of the day, whether that's going to work or doing volunteer work, whatever your well-being is. In regards to autonomy, mental health is something that's overlooked a lot. These days, we're really focusing on it more. A lack of autonomy can contribute to feelings of anxiety, depression, and burnout. So that's really important. That's why we really want to focus on autonomy and well-being. Personal growth is very important for autonomy. This allows us to learn, develop, reach for our full potential. Self-actualization, one of my favorite phrases for growing and learning and becoming who you want to be. Effective collaboration, this is where we talk about economy in the workplace. Autonomy can foster innovation, creativity, and a higher productivity. So this is how we work together as a group within an organization. And autonomy, we want to just foster healthy relationships for individual growth, but also fostering a sense of connection and mutual respect for coworkers. And it's really important to maintain autonomy in the workplace. Next slide. So why autonomy matters in aging? Okay, as we're all aging, since the moment of birth, we are always aging. And so why it matters so much is because we want to preserve dignity as we age, especially as an older adult, and identity, who we are as an older adult. We've lived all these years, right? And now we're 82 years old. So who are we and what is our identity at that age? And having autonomy around it. Autonomy encourages active participation in care and life decisions. And we've been focusing on life decisions for quite many months when we've been doing this conversation. We want to link better mental health and quality of life to autonomy. And this really builds trust between the older adult and their family. And they could have care partners or paid caregivers. So all of this is what matters in aging. Next slide. So what are common barriers to staying autonomous? Making sure that you have the right to make your own decisions. Some of the barriers that we've talked about before can be changes in cognition as we get older. If we're having a hard time making our own medical decisions or financial decisions, that's going to be a barrier to having autonomy. Physical limitations. If there's a stroke, if there's something that is causing physical limitations, it could be a barrier to autonomy. Overprotective caregivers, we're going to talk about this a little bit more. And what I mean by caregivers, that could be a family member or that could be a paid caregiver. You want to be very mindful of family members, having good intention, but maybe having different views about how you should live your life. So would that be a barrier to autonomy? Institutional settings. Sometimes we need to go into assisted livings or memory care communities. There may be some barriers around that in autonomy too, but perhaps the barriers could be for one's safety. So you have to kind of balance that and be very aware of what autonomy means to you. And communication challenges. I didn't mention this here, but perhaps hearing challenges, vision challenges, they could all be barriers as we get older to autonomy. Next slide. So when we talk about decision making, I'm going to mention 2 points here. We want to identify about supported decision making versus substitute. So supported decision making. This is where where the person gets assistance. All right, you assist someone who maybe can't make their own decisions in making sure that their decisions and their choices about how they want to live their life will be maintained and supported. This encourages autonomy, and it really needs to be with trusted supporters, trusted advocates that have your best interest. And then there's substitute decision making. This is where decisions are made for the older adult. It may limit independence, and it definitely involves power of attorney or guardianship. This is where you're not making your own decisions. You have hopefully, and we've talked about this in other sessions, hopefully you have identified somebody who's going to make those decisions for you if you can't. We always want to avoid conservatorship, where we have to get the courts involved to take over our lives. And that's why it's critical to have those durable power of attorney forms signed for healthcare and for finances. Next slide. So I like to think of things in strategic forms. Those of you that know me pretty well know that about me, I like putting things in paper, having things documented. It supports your autonomy that way. Clear language, simple, doesn't have to be, the word frothy is coming to my mind. It needs to be very clear. What are your wishes, and who do you want those to carry out your wishes if you can? So you want to offer real choices, right? What are your choices? Not just yes or no. Be patient, allow time to get systems in place. You want to always include the senior that you're working with in these conversations. And that can be challenging too, especially if there is a neurocognitive impairment like a dementia. Those can be very sensitive conversations. And I always recommend that if you are going to have a conversation like this with someone, that you have a witness just to give you emotional support. And so there's someone there that can really understand and hear the conversation. And never forget to include cultural and personal values of the older adult, which may be different than yours. So you have to be very on top of one's agenda, your agenda, and putting that into the storyline of what the senior wants. You have to be careful about that. And we all have ideas of what would be best for her, what would be best for him, but we have to incorporate what the person wants to maintain autonomy. Next slide. We've talked about this before, and we can talk about it over and over and over again because it's critical and it's complicated at the same time. And so it's important that we always remember the legal and ethical considerations of this work. Informed consent requirements. When anybody goes into a medical office today, I don't know if you know this, but when you're signing forms, there's always an informed consent. And you're signing that which says, I understand why I'm here and why I'm seeing the doctor. I understand that I'm going into this procedure and with all the considerations of it. This is informed consent. And being autonomy means I can sign that form. No one's signing it for me. Okay, very important. You're not going to go into a doctor's office without signing this form. Trust me. Advanced directives and living wills, those are things that we've been talking about. To think about, if you haven't, who are those going to be making decisions for you if you can't? Okay, and power of attorney, who's that person that's going to oversee you, your health, your estate, if you need help, when and if you need help. And then the right to refuse care when competent. So that's also a tricky part of this dialogue, is that if someone's competent, I can refuse care. You know, a doctor can suggest you need this, and I don't have to follow through with that. I have autonomy because I'm competent. I have competency today. I have cognitive self-will to make my decisions. Next slide, please. Okay, so balancing safety and independence. One of the first things I talk about when I'm working with a client, especially if someone's hiring my firm to go into one's house and do a safety evaluation. We do those all the time. Psychosocial, not just you have grab bars in the shower. If your goal is to stay at home, if that's your goal, we'll go into someone's home and look at this and review all of this. And the first thing I'll always say is safety, safety, safety. If you want to live at home until the end of your life, you better have your house prepped for that. Now, is that something you need to do now? No. But if you've had a slip or trip in your house, if it was near the bathroom or in the bathroom or in the shower, why not? I'm 57 years old, and I think I've shared this, but 2 years ago, my partner and I bought a condo, and I had him put in a grab bar in the shower. And, it was something that I really wanted to have. And we use it sometime. As I'm washing my hair, I may put one hand on the grab bar. So, or to get in and out of it. So you always want to put safety first. So I have here, risk is not always harm. Ask the person what they value the most. We want to always use the least restrictive approach, the very least, and involve the person in risk-benefit decisions. These are hard conversations to have. I remember having a conversation with my mom about putting a grab bar in her bathroom, and she refused. And then something happened, and then we had to put the grab bars in. And I'm all about prevention. Put them in now. Don't wait until there's a fall. Next slide, please. It's all about staying independent with autonomy. So I don't know who are caregivers in the audience, or if you have been caregivers in the audience, or you think in the future you'll be a caregiver in the future. You want to always encourage independence where possible. Let the older adult do what they can as much as possible. That's very, very important. Avoid talking to them in a way that makes them feel like a child, right? Or tying someone's shoes, right? When they can tie their own shoes, but you want to help. You don't want them to have to bend over. You're in a rush to get out of the door. Validate them. Validate preferences. Collaborate, don't control. Okay? Next slide, please. So let's talk about some real life scenarios. I know we're in little Zoom boxes here, but if anybody has a comment or a thought, you can raise your hand and I can see you. So Mrs. Lopez wants to cook, loves to cook, but her family is worried about fire risks because what we don't know about Mrs. Lopez is that she has what's called mild cognitive impairment, not dementia. She has the precursor to dementia, mild cognitive impairment. And how that shows up for Mrs. Lopez is that she can never remember to turn off the stove. So when she's making her food, she keeps the flame up high and never remembers to turn off the oven. And there's been a couple little incidences of burning things. What do you do? Tough decision, huh? How would you keep her staying in autonomy, but not burn down the kitchen?
Well, sometimes you can set up a safety parameter. Mom, when you turn on the soup that you want to simmer for an hour, set a timer. I'll
Mm-hmm.
show you how to set a timer on your cell phone. And
Mm-hmm.
then when it goes off, you'll remember to turn off the stove.
I think that's wonderful, and it keeps her keeps her autonomy, and it's less restrictive because we want Mrs. Lopez to keep cooking, keep doing the things that's a quality of life issue. So you always kind of want to balance safety versus a quality of life. So setting timers is a great thing, and maybe check on her every once in a while if she's cooking. So the next one is Mr. Jones refuses his medication, however, he's mentally competent, mentally, cognitively competent, but he refuses to take his medication. Any ideas on how you want to handle that? Does he have every right to refuse his medication? If he's competent, he has every right to refuse taking his medication. And these are very tricky patients to work with from experience. And it's really, really hard if it's mom or dad or another loved one, or what about an adult child who may be ill, who doesn't want to take medications?
Well, you can start by asking why he doesn't want to take his medication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And there could be a variety of reasons. Side effects is a very common one. Or maybe as we age, and maybe Mr. Jones has never taken a medication, and now he's being asked to take a blood pressure medication, and he doesn't want to. Let's say with a statin, he's having maybe some muscle discomfort. So the first thing when I agree, Anne, that you would ask him why, you'd want to try to understand that. But at the end of the day, if he's competent to make his own decisions, he doesn't have to take his medications, and then he has the risk of the consequences of that. And number 3, a resident wants to continue dating despite family objections. A resident, I didn't say a person, I said a resident. When I use the word resident, it always means when someone's living in a care community. That could be an independent, assisted, memory care, or skilled. Tricky conversations. So I would always lead with safety first. 2 residents in an assisted living, dating, the adult children in their 50s are disagreeing. I would want to talk to those adult children. What's the worry here? Are you worried they're going to get married? Are you worried they're going to elope? What are the dynamics in that? Has anyone ever heard of these situations before? No, I had a client once in a memory care facility, and she started dating, if you will, a man in the memory care facility, and they both had Alzheimer's, but they fell in love and they wanted to get married. So what the children did on both sides is they didn't allow them to get legally married, but they had a ceremony.
There you go.
She got dressed in a white gown and he got all dressed. The families handled it really well. They'd had a whole wedding inside the memory care facility, and then all the other residents attended. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, here's a toughie. When is it time to stop driving?
When you can't see. No, that's stop 'em.
Okay. Okay, when vision changes or when you go to the DMV and you don't pass the vision test. But people still want to drive even though that happens. People still drive with poor vision, and people still drive with poor hearing, and people still drive with a diagnosis of dementia. Really tough conversations to have with family members and with clients. I have had many experience in this regard where I've actually taken away keys from clients who had a dementia type diagnosis along with family. Oftentimes I'm there as the witness or help the family have a conversation. Recently I just well, I guess I could say took the keys away from my mother, who has Parkinson's dementia. She still wants to drive. She's not driving, but she's seriously grieving this loss that you took my car from me. And traditionally, it always was like taking the keys away from the man was the hardest. It's not about gender. It's all of us when we're told that we can no longer drive anymore. My father, on the other hand, chose to stop driving. And there's something about that I think really maintains autonomy. When you choose to no longer drive, rather have someone take the keys from you. Next slide, please. So things that we want to watch for as far as driving are frequent close calls or accidents, fender benders. Oftentimes we'll see dents on the side of the cars because people may be hitting like a curb or, another car, but they keep driving. Maybe they don't hear that they kind of slid against a trash barrel, things like that. Getting lost on familiar routes, very important. If that's happening, we need to consider, not driving and finding other solutions. If there's slow reaction times or confusion at intersections, difficulty seeing signs, road markings, or family or friends express concern. I will say this, at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in their patient clinic, they do offer I would say it's a driving test, but it's through simulation. It's very thorough. It is private pay only, and I really recommend it for people. And it's confidential. So if there's real concerns, nothing gets back to the DMV, nothing gets back to your physicians. I did have a client do this, and I was with him the whole time. He just sat in a little computer, and he had to, I think there was a break. He had to do some things, and they gave him a recommendation to actually not drive anymore. And with that, it was enough for him to give up the car. Next slide.
Sherry has a question, actually.
Yes, Sherry.
Hi, Catherine. We had this situation with my dad, macular degeneration, Parkinson's, bumps on the, fender benders, would not give up his keys, and we actually reported him to DMV.
Yeah.
This is upstate New York, and they never did anything. I was wondering if you have any experience with actually doing that or any success with that.
Great question. So I can speak for the state of California. Anybody can make a report to the DMV. My experience, and the DMV is kind of a difficult culture and system, if you will, as far as, making someone stop driving. I can tell you that if a doctor has a patient with a dementia diagnosis, not mild cognitive impairment, by law, the physician has to report it to the DMV. My experience is then what the DMV does is they send a letter to the patient and ask the patient to come in to do a written and driving exam. So oftentimes we'll have somebody that has dementia get the letter, go in, pass the written, pass the driving.
Yeah.
And my experience is that, either they'll revoke it because it's really in the hands of the DMV. And it's very, very tricky because clients who don't want to give up the driving will say, well, I passed. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I can tell you that it's a difficult situation to maneuver with the DMV.
Yeah.
Catherine, one of the things that worked with several of our elderly relatives, and it worked every time, Granddad, how are you going to feel when you hit a kid on a bike?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
100%.
And oftentimes I will say that, if your grandfather does, injure someone or kill someone and or property, the family is not going to just sue you, but it's going to sue your children and their children and all of your estate.
Take everything you have.
Right. And that will happen, So that's something to do as well. For really difficult cases where somebody may have a dementia diagnosis, as hard as this, sounds, we'll make the keys disappear, or we'll take the car into the shop to get fixed, but then the car doesn't come back.
We try that too.
Okay.
My mom told us that my sister stole her
Oh,
car.
yeah, mine too. Yeah.
Well, all you have to do is change the firing order on the distributor cap, and that takes care of the whole problem.
And those are ways as well. Next slide. Okay, so we've talked about this. There could be cognitive or medical triggers. Vision loss would get in the way of successful driving. Medication side effects, that's really important. Or like if somebody has sleep apnea, or they're not sleeping at night very well, and they fall asleep a lot during the day. So those are things to really watch for as possible triggers, or mobility issues that affect, pedal use, things like that, or response times. Next slide. When to intervene, of course, when there's a risk of serious harm to self or others. Hopefully you intervene before that. After medical advice, neurologists, ophthalmologists, doctors will give their opinion about driving or not, or when an official driving assessment indicates impairment. That's why I'll refer people to this outpatient clinic at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center to kind of rule out if it's time to stop driving. Next slide. Be respectful, empathetic if you're going to approach this conversation. I know we often do this, sometimes with patients. Emphasize safety, not control, because this is a real big autonomy issue, driving. It's one of the most important things that as a rite of passion, as a rite of passion, passage to get our driver's license is very important. And so to be mindful that we're not trying to control the person and offer solutions. There's a lot of solutions today. We have Uber today. We have Waymo today. I have a Parkinson's client that uses Waymo everywhere. He chose to stop driving. He likes Waymo. Senior transport, if family can help with transportation. Okay. And the most important thing is to, really involve the older adult in making this decision so they have autonomy. Next slide, please. What about financial decisions? Should you add someone to help with financial decisions, and who is that going to be? Next slide. Again, the goal is autonomy. You want to be able to stay with autonomy and make your own decisions. However, do you need help with this? So my father has started making some financial mistakes. So my brother meets him once a week and sits down and goes over all his automatic payments every once in a while. Like, for example, this happened last week, which I thought was interesting. He got a bill from his accountant and he owed him it was like 1575. Let's just choose that number. 1575, like 1,575. My father wrote the check. I guess he did it on a day when my brother wasn't there. So he put in 1575, but he wrote out 1570. Not a big mistake, but they sent it back to him and he had to void it and then send him another check. But you want to be very careful when those little slips happen. So, are you managing your bills? Are you staying within budget? Banking issues? Do you want to delegate some financial tasks to reduce stress and errors?
Freeze.
It's very proactive to prevent. We want to always be in financial safety. Next slide. So, are there some signs that we may need to get some help with this? Are we missing or paying bills late? We getting things confused? We still writing checks? Are we on a automatic bill pay system that may be more streamlined and easy? But how do you do that? And how do you get Wells Fargo and how do you get all your bills on bill pay? That can be challenging. I remember it was for me. Memory challenges, sometimes anxiety can to come into play, and I'm going to talk about this. I like giving a lot of personal examples, and I'm at the age now where I have aging parents, so I have a lot of personal examples. I don't know if anyone's heard of the Geek Squad fraud. It was actually on the news. Lester Holt had a piece on it. So my dad got an email from Geek Squad saying that they owed him money. Well, he clicked on the link. And then he called the 800 number and they took him down a rabbit hole. And my dad does not have dementia. They got him so worked up, so scared. And my dad runs anxious anyway. They kept him on the phone for an hour, all the way to where they talked to him how to get to his Schwab trust account and move the money to their account. Now, I said that they owed him money. So they did a switcheroo. And $13,000,
Oh my God.
once he clicked and moved that money, they hung up on him. How do you think that made my dad feel? Pretty awful. And that's when my brother and I said, okay, we're going to start stepping in here. Next slide, please. Still brings tears to my eyes. So, What about asking for help? How do we get somebody to help us with money management? So you can have somebody be an authorized signer on a checking account, meaning they can pay bills, but they don't own your money. Does that make sense? Okay. Power of attorney, that's the legal authority to manage your finances, if you can. There's something called a joint account, shared access, but you always want to use this with caution, because if you add your daughter to your joint checking account at Wells Fargo, she has full access to your money. So, got to have a good relationship there. You can hire a daily money manager. I work with several of them where they actually come to your home and they sit with you and they pay your bills with you. You got a stack of bills that have come in for the month. You don't even have to open them. She comes in and you guys open them up and you pay your bills. They're not financial, decision makers. They're not like financial advisors. They're just paying your bills. And then having a trusted family member to monitor access. That would be, in my case, my brother. Next slide. I do all the medical for my dad. My brother does all the finances. So what to consider before you decide? Do you trust the person completely? Are you still capable of reviewing decisions? Does your loved one understand your values and financial wishes? So in regards to my father, his durable power of attorney for finances is neither me nor my brother. My father has a legal person, his financial decision maker who is in charge of this. Okay? And do you want full help or just assistance? Next slide. Protecting yourself. Never share PINs or passwords without clear agreements, okay? Don't give anybody your passwords. Review your financial activity regularly, right? That's important to do. Put changes in writing or talk with a lawyer or a financial advisor who can protect you with all of these things, because they're complicated. Financial issues are very complicated and legal, so to get help when you need them. Next slide. You want to stay in control, right? You want to stay autonomous. You want to be in control of your own medical decisions, financial decisions, okay? And delegating this, it doesn't mean you're giving up everything. It means you're being safe about your finances, okay? And you can define how much and what kind of help you want. And you can update plans as you need, or your confidence changes. As I always say, remember those durable power of attorneys that you sign, they can always be revoked. Okay? You can change the person on your advance directive if you don't want that person, if you want someone else. I think I've given this example in the past. I worked with a physician who didn't choose his wife as his agent for medical and finances. He chose his son because he didn't think his wife would be able to handle the, not financial, but the medical changes over the loss, or medically to let her husband go. End of life issues. Next slide. So when is it time to consider moving into a care facility? Or what about with family? Or can you continue living in your own home for forever? Right? All of those options. Next slide. So signs that it may be time to reconsider living arrangements. Maybe you're struggling with daily tasks like cooking, bathing, or medication management. We call these ADLs, activities of daily living. So yes, it's like cooking, dressing, feeding oneself, transferring, be able to transfer if you're sitting on a couch to a standing position. These are called activities of daily living. So they're like the big one that the doctor looks for. And if that's difficult, you have to think about getting some assistance so you can stay safe in the home. Increased falls or safety concerns at the home, feeling lonely or isolated. I'm going to talk on that one. My father's 91 years old, and my brother and I just moved him closer to us because he was so severely isolated and alone. And we started seeing changes with him during COVID. And we even saw he was just a little off since COVID, but the loneliness, because he lived alone, and the isolation, he was just sinking. And we moved him along with he was very involved in the decision making of moving to a little apartment. He was very open to that. Went back and forth, but we definitely included him in this decision. Memory issues that affect independence and caregiver burnout is a big variable when it comes to staying at home. Next slide. So, other options, in-home care support. You can bring somebody in. And there's private ways of paying for this through a licensed home care agency with certified caregivers. There's also something called in-home support services, where this is more where government aid comes in and they can bring a caregiver into the home and pay for that. If you're a primary caregiver to an older adult who's sick, you can actually get government compensation to take care of somebody in the home. That's very important. There are adult day programs for socialization and supervision. If you have an older adult, let's say, that needs a program during the day, so you as an older adult can go to work. Adult day programs are wonderful. They really, really help families. Home modifications for safety and mobility. We talked about that a little bit, getting the house kind of set up so everything is safe, how to handle stairs, how to handle ramps, all of that. Assisted living communities, varying levels of help, as we kind of talked about, if that's what's needed. My father just moved into what's called an independent living. Independent living is when you literally can walk into the building. You're not using a cane, you're not using a rollator, you're not using a walker. Independent living, we're all right now independent. You have to walk into that facility. Now, once you walk into that facility, if there's a fall and there's a fracture and now you've got to use a rollator or a walker, that's fine. Assisted livings are when you already maybe on a rollator or a walker and you're needing all of those activities of daily living. In our photo here, the woman with the walker, she cannot go into an independent living environment. She will have to go into an assisted living. And then there's memory care communities for those that need help with memory. There's also senior co-housing that a lot of people will do. Next slide. So, things to ask yourself: am I happy? Am I safe living alone? Am I managing things okay? So far I am. I like my grab bar in the shower, but I'm very safe. And my partner and I, when we bought our condo 2 years ago, for us at our ages, we wanted no stairs because we wanted to buy a place that we can ideally today, we want to age in place. I'm 57, he's 65. Could we go into a senior independent living community in Palm Springs or wherever that? Sure. Do I want that today in my life? No. But, those sometimes couples do that too. Do I have support that I need day to day? And what kind of environment helps me thrive? Helps me stay independent? Helps me be autonomy, have autonomy? And what are the quality of life things that are important to you? I have a little balcony and I have flowers on that balcony. It's beautiful on that balcony. I have yellows and pinks because when I sit on that balcony, I'm in my quality of life zone. I take care of people who are sick and aging and dying. And so I have to, for my self-care, balance that. And so I surround myself with life, right? Flowers, trees, they're breathing. Next slide. What community support is available for older adults? Well, good. Guess what? Great news, everybody. You're living in a great city to age in. There is so much availability. and community support for older adults. It's incredible. So when, in the back, suburbs and towns in Pennsylvania or New Hampshire, there's not anything like we have today. Next slide, please. Okay, there's senior centers, and they tend to get a bad rap, but boy, you can go into a senior center all day long, and there are classes and exercise and memory games and outings, and they go to the theater and they go to the opera. Every city has these senior centers, so find the one local to you, take the risk, go online or walk in and take a class, try it. I always say try it once. It's like you try something once, like food or something. Give it a try. Libraries are still open and running, and oftentimes they have book clubs. Libraries today will help people with technology. My little local library here will help with all of that. Get you a library card, there's events, faith-based groups, volunteer opportunities. Staying social is a key to aging. It's huge. That's why my father was, shriveling away, being all isolated and alone. So you want to think about volunteering. Don't stay alone all day long. Don't spend a day where nobody calls you, where you don't call anybody. You need that social interaction. Remember COVID, how difficult that was? We couldn't connect. Arts and music programs, knitting groups, all that stuff. I'm big into group. So find your passion out there. Next slide. Health and wellness services, community clinics, mobile health units, they're all out here. Transportation to medical appointments. One of the things that's really nice about assisted living and independent living environments, they take you to all your doctor's appointments. And then they also, there'll be a day where they go to Trader Joe's or to Ralph's or CVS or, all of those things are really included in that, and which is kind of nice. But there is local transportation in Los Angeles. Nutrition programs, Meals on Wheels, very important to use for people that are more lower income. They deliver meals 3 times a day or maybe twice a day. And then wellness checks or home visits. Next slide. So again, support and guidance, aging and adult services, very prominent and active in Los Angeles County. There are tons of caregiver support groups. There's the Alzheimer's Association in Los Angeles has support groups. UCLA Alzheimer's and Dementia Program, I'm part of that. We do support groups. There's support groups for vision loss, for hearing loss, for Parkinson's, tons for cancer. If you need a support group, they're out there. There's grief support groups. There's help for legal aid for seniors. That's available. Tech tutoring and digital literacy help, very available today. There's friendly visitor or phone check-in programs. So let's say you're living alone and no one calls you. Well, there's a program for that. Okay. And hiring a private geriatric care manager. And that's what I do. That's what my company does. It's a private service, but we visit you once a week. We manage and oversee your medications if you need help, making sure you don't run out, making sure you have refills, getting the house set up so we prevent falls, helping you look into assisted livings if you need one. We take you to all your doctor's appointments. We're in the exam rooms with you. We're in the surgery with you. We do everything that you need help with. I can't tell you how many animals, I know this sounds a little sad, but that I've had to find homes for because my client either died or had to go into a facility where they didn't take dogs. So we do everything. Next slide, please. How do you keep autonomy through self-care? We want to stay physically active, mentally active, right? I always like to say physically, fit, financially fit, spiritually fit, okay? To keep autonomy. I'm big on routines, can really help people, especially if someone's having some early memory changes. It's really important to keep a routine. Okay, if somebody has dementia, routine is going to really help that. Routine, routine, routine. Manage your medications. Make sure you're not overdosing, underdosing. Can you see your medications? Oftentimes, they're these little small white pills. If you're using a medication box, are you filling them in once a month? Are you being consistent? You're forgetting to fill them up. I'm big on those Monday through Sunday pill boxes, especially if you take more than 3 medications. Okay? And speak up, advocate for yourself, tell your loved ones what you want. Next slide, please. Okay, let's avoid those scams. Let's avoid the Geek Squad scam. So, financial scams. And this can happen to anybody, not just older people. Anybody. These guys are so good. So never share personal info over the phone or email. Everyone probably knows that today. People still do it. Be suspicious of calls claiming urgent action. That's what my father, urgent action in Geek Squad said. Hang up and call a trusted number to verify. Ignore pressure to pay with gift cards, wire transfers, or cash. All right. There's also a scam where a granddaughter will call you if you have a granddaughter and say, Grandma, I need help. Would you please send me money? Grandma, don't tell mom. Don't tell mom that I called you. That's a scam. Sign up for the do not call registry and use call blockers. Okay. And then we added the Geek Squad scam. Preventing elder abuse, even in families. Tough subject to talk about. Okay. In regards to financial abuse, the most common abuser is someone in your family, someone who you trust. Very uncomfortable. It's rarely a bank that's scamming you. Set clear boundaries around money and decisions. Okay. Keep control of important documents and accounts. Watch for red flags. If someone's telling you to do something you don't want to do, are they instilling fear, isolation, or all of a sudden there's some financial changes? You're going to share an account with a family member. You want to make sure you trust them and you want to stay on top of that. Don't be afraid to say no, even to family. And speak to a trusted advisor, social worker, or adult protective services if something feels wrong. We called adult protective services on the scam, on the Geek Squad scam on my father. They came out, police came out. Nothing you can do. Money's gone. You can't track that stuff, unfortunately. Next slide. So, in regards to end of life, organ donations, and I love this picture. Organ donations, making your wishes known. That's going to be in your advance directive and your durable power of attorney for medical. Are you a donor, organ donor? I am right now on my driver's license. God forbid, I would definitely want my organs taken out and put in someone else. Absolutely. Depends on what your body's like at end of life, but if you want your organs donated, say that and put that in your advance directive. Next slide. All right, so funeral arrangements, memorials. This is some of the work that I'm doing with the Immaculate Heart community, especially for the founding members, is to get all this information now. For example, do you have a plot? Or do you need one? How are you going to pay for that? Nothing, all this stuff costs money. What are your wishes? And I'd say we've done a very good job on identifying these things for the founding members in case and when their life ends. So everything is put in place. Chris Monroe can carry out those wishes. Funeral arrangements, plan ahead, put things in writing, talk to your family about what you want. Full body burial, cremation, and there's many, many different things people do today around this topic. And it's pretty much, I'm actually going to show you something. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you can everybody see this little green thing I'm holding up? It's a little,
Yes.
can you see that? It's a little glass piece. And in the middle, there's a little white sun. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm holding it. And on the back, it says Derek. And these are his ashes. So what his wife did is she took some ashes, and I guess there's a company that does this, and here's Derek. He's in my hand right now. Okay. Interesting, huh? And all his friends got one of those. Next slide. So takeaways from today's presentation: autonomy is a core human right. Autonomy is a core human right, and it's not lost with age. Okay? Decision-making support must be tailored and respectful. Risk and dignity often go hand in hand, right? Safety first, and empowerment fosters better outcomes. Very important to stay empowered and make your decisions now about what you want in the future. Next slide. So this is me. I work with Chris Monroe, with the founding members, all of those incredible women, making sure they are safe and have autonomy and are thriving in their homes, making sure they're safe. And it's a pleasure and an honor, really, to work with the Immaculate Heart community. So I thank you very much. And that's our presentation for today. I hope this was helpful to you, and you got some information you may have known already or didn't, and can take that into your lives.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you very much.
I don't know if you have time for a few questions,
I
but
have
then
a couple minutes for a few questions.
Are there people who have some questions that they'd like to ask Catherine? Great. Well, I wanted to thank you
Pam,
again.
you're welcome.
Yeah.
Pam, I just want to say something. Since we've done a great job with these presentations over the last few months, if there's any topics or things that have come out of this that would be helpful to discuss if we do another session at some point or conversation about these, please let Pam Hope know.
Terrific. Thank you for that. That's for sure.
You're welcome, Pam.
I did want to say that almost all, except for the first conversation, was recorded. And if it's not on today or updated, it will be on our YouTube channel. And we'll send out a link to everybody so that you can access the topics, refresh your memory, and share it with other people that might be interested. In addition, I have all the forms that Catherine shared with us. So the advance directive, the power of attorney, all those forms we have that we're able to share. And we've connected with a couple legal support groups and certified financial planners who can help if you're in the decision making about your own life, and also if you are thinking about your legacy. And I know we had a class on legacy, so those are very important. We also, Catherine has said, and we have the videos and maybe even a personal visit to your civic group or your congregations, or if you belong to any group that you think might be interested, we would be looking for some kind of financial support for this program to continue and to share with a larger community. So keep that in mind. We think we have the chops and we have, again, the videos to share, but I think Catherine has shared such amazing topics that I think other groups would benefit. And lastly, well, two other things is that all of our programs have been free. All of our programs are given as a public benefit, but we do rely on support, financial support. So if this was beneficial or any of our other programs, please consider supporting our projects. And today at 11:30, we will be having lunch. If you're in person, then we'll be going over to the Great Hall. If you're on Zoom, click over to the Zoom link that was sent, and we'll meet you back at noon. Today we have Bishop Dylan Littlefield, who has been an amazing advocate for the most impacted by poverty, mental health issues, and racial profiling. And I think you'll find his topic super interesting. And next month we have the Harpers. So if anybody knows Matthew Harper, he is now the leader at the Catholic Worker, and his mom is Joan Harper, and she started LA Free Trade, and they're going to be talking about service, doing service and the impact on your spirituality of doing this kind of work. I don't know if Sherry or Chris or anybody else would like to have
Pam,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
Lucia.
Hi, Lucia.
Hi. Thank you for this great opportunity. Last time, I had great difficulty. They said to stay on. We used the same Zoom, and it took us a half an hour until we got another Zoom. So what do you mean you stay and then you move over to the next Zoom?
Do you
Why
want
can't
to
you just stay on this one?
We
I
did, I think there was with the Zoom staying on the same one. So we sent out an email. If you need it again, we sent out an email with a different link. So I'm sorry about that. I don't really understand the reasoning, but I understood that the tech was different.
We're moving rooms.
So we've got to check in for the next Zoom that's coming.
Yes, if you need me to, I'll send it again so it's on the top of your email.
Would you?
But
So I'll be sure. Okay, thank you.
Pam and everybody, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you for this opportunity. And I'm always here if you have questions. Please feel free to call me, like personal cell phone, just call me.
Catherine, this is Sherry. I really do want to thank you for this series. Your manner and your delivery and the presence that you bring to this topic has been exemplary, and we've been so happy to hear you speak on these different topics. So thank you. Thank you
You're
for your
very
service
welcome,
today.
Sherry. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
be well.
Bye.